His name is Musa. He is 34 years old. He sells phone accessories in Kofa Wambai Market in Kano, charging cables, screen protectors, earphones. He has a small wooden store he rents for 15,000 naira a month. His father voted for Kwankwaso every time Kwankwaso stood for anything: governor, senator, vice presidential candidate, presidential candidate. The red cap in his house is not a political statement. It is something closer to a family item. In May 2026, Musa watched a video on his phone of Kwankwaso collecting a membership card at NDC headquarters in Abuja, standing beside Peter Obi, wearing a suit, saying this was the platform for 2027. Musa put the phone down and served a customer. Then he picked it up again and watched the video a second time, not because he did not understand, because he was deciding something. His father followed Kwankwaso from CPC to PDP to APC to NNPP to ADC, now NDC. 5 parties, and each time his father said the same thing: if Kwankwaso says go, we go. Musa is not sure he can say the same thing, not this time, not when the direction they are going is toward a Christian Igbo man from Anambra as president of Nigeria. What is happening in Musa's store in Kofa Wambai is really about the most important question in Nigerian presidential arithmetic. Can Kwankwaso transfer his personal vote, a vote built on 15 years of community investment, scholarship distribution, and emotional loyalty, to a man who did not build any of those things in Kano? And if he cannot, what does that tell you about the Obi Kwankwaso ticket's actual northern strength? Stay with me. Before we go deeper, if you are just finding NaijaNewsWatch, welcome. This channel exists to break down what is really happening in Nigerian politics without the noise and without the spin. If that is the kind of analysis you enjoy, hit subscribe and stay with me, because this story is about to get a lot more interesting. Let me catch you up on the NDC Northern Gamble story, because the sequence of events matters enormously for understanding what is actually at stake. In 2023, Kwankwaso ran for president on the NNPP platform. He got approximately 1.5 million votes nationally. His strongest performance was in Kano State, by far. In Kano alone, the NNPP presidential candidate received enormous support, reflecting the depth of the Kwankwasiyya movement's loyalty to its founder. That movement was built over 15 years. Kwankwaso served as governor of Kano twice between 1999 and 2003, and between 2011 and 2015. During those years, he distributed scholarships to thousands of young Kano people. He built roads. He had a specific, visible style of grassroots engagement, meeting ward-level leaders personally, attending community events, being physically present in communities in ways that Nigerian governors are often not. The red cap and matching attire became an identity marker. The Kwankwasiyya was not a political party. It was a social movement that happened to produce political outcomes. Then, the 2023 Kano governorship happened. Kwankwaso's endorsed candidate Abba Kabir Yusuf won the governorship on the NNPP platform, again from scratch, without a single sitting local government chairman. It seemed to confirm that the Kwankwasiyya was the most resilient personal political brand in the Nigerian north. Then, Yusuf defected to the APC, without telling Kwankwaso, and the political picture changed. By May 2026, Kwankwaso had moved, via ADC, to the NDC. He joined Peter Obi's platform. The NDC zoned its presidential ticket to the south, confirming Obi as the presidential candidate. Kwankwaso accepted the vice presidential slot, and the question that settled over Musa's stall in Kofa Wambai Market was the question that settled over the entire northern political landscape. Will the Kwankwasiyya follow? Let me explain the rules of the northern electoral game, because the specific constitutional and electoral structures shape what winning the north actually requires. The 25% threshold. To win the presidency, a candidate must win the most valid votes nationally and at least 25% of valid votes in at least 24 of Nigeria's 36 states plus the FTC. The north contributes 19 states to Nigeria's 36 states. An Obi Kwankwaso ticket that cannot reach 25% in a significant number of northern states cannot clear the constitutional threshold for outright victory, regardless of how large its southern margin is. In 2023, Obi cleared 25% in 12 states, mostly southern and middle belt. He did not clear 25% in most of the far north. The challenge for the NDC in 2027 is to extend the 25% threshold coverage deeper into northern states through Kwankwaso's voter network, specifically into Kano, Katsina, Jigawa, and Zamfara, where the Kwankwasiyya movement has community-level presence. Kano's specific arithmetic. Kano contributed 7.23% of all valid votes in 2023, the highest of any single state in the federation. Kwankwaso got the majority of Kano's NNPP votes. Governor Yusuf is now APC. The APC has the institutional machinery of the Kano State government. The NDC has Kwankwaso's personal network. The 2027 contest in Kano is specifically a contest between institutional machinery and personal loyalty, and the outcome in Kano will be the most closely watched single-state result in the entire 2027 election. For Musa and Kofa Wambai Market, the rulebook consequence is direct. His ward is one of hundreds of Kano wards where Kwankwasiyya networks exist at the community level. Whether those networks are activated for the NDC in 2027, whether ward coordinators like the ones who know Musa's father and every other family in the market area show up and mobilize, determines whether Kwankwaso's Kano base delivers for the NDC ticket. Now, let's follow the political logic, because the NDC's Northern Gamble is not one story. It is three separate stories happening simultaneously in the north, and each has a different outcome probability. Story 1. Kano. This is Kwankwaso's home base. The Kwankwasiyya movement built here from scratch in 2023. The movement produced the governorship win. Then the governor betrayed the movement's founder, and now the question is whether that betrayal galvanizes or demoralizes the base. On May 29, 2026, Kwankwaso sat in Kano and presented the former deputy governor, the man who resigned in protest at Yusuf's APC defection, as the NDC's 2027 gubernatorial candidate for Kano. That's the signal. The movement is not mourning the betrayal, it is fighting back. Whether the fight produces NDC votes depends on whether ward coordinators like the ones who know Musa's father are activated before January 2027. Story 2. Atiku's Northeast. Atiku Abubakar won the ADC presidential primary with 1.8 million votes, heavily concentrated in his Adamawa base and the Northeast generally. He is not in the NDC. His network is not available to the Obi Kwankwaso ticket unless a coordination agreement or platform merger happens before the election. For the NDC to reach 25% in Borno, Yobe, Adamawa, Taraba, and Gombe, the Northeast states, without Atiku's active support is extraordinarily difficult. This is the Northeast gap in the NDC's northern arithmetic. Story 3. The Middle Belt. As we covered in our Middle Belt Swing Power video, this is the zone that produced Obi's strongest surprise performances in 2023. Plateau State was his third highest state nationally with 466,272 votes. The Middle Belt political motivation, insecurity grievance, presidential exclusion argument, economic frustration creates genuine NDC vote potential independent of Kwankwaso's mobilization. If the NDC builds ward-level structures in Benue, Nasarawa, and Plateau specifically, the Middle Belt can deliver NDC votes to the 25% threshold level even without Kwankwaso's direct network. Now, if what I just laid out surprises you, drop a comment below. I want to know your take before we get to the part that changes the whole picture. And here's the part that changes the whole picture, the piece of northern political intelligence that the NDC's campaign strategy must reckon with. Daily Post documented the northern reaction to the NDC move and found three specific camps. One camp said, "I will continue to follow him wherever he goes, from NNPP to ADC and now NDC. He has the interest of the people." That's the loyal Kwankwasiyya base. A second camp said, "He told us the NNPP was the vehicle for liberation. Then the ADC, now the NDC. We are tired." That's the tired fatigue camp. And the third, the most analytically important camp said, "The best ticket you can have is Obi and Kwankwaso on the same ticket. Northerners are wise enough to take a rational decision. It's not just about where someone comes from, but about competence." That's the voter the NDC needs to reach in Kano. And that voter's decision will not be made at a rally, it will be made at a polling unit in January after months of watching whether the NDC's promises look credible, whether its structures look organized, and whether the economic pain of the past 3 years looks addressable by the alternative. Let's come back to Musa in Kofa Wambai Market. Musa is 34 years old. He sells phone accessories. He watched his father follow Kwankwaso through 5 parties. He's not sure he can do the same. Not this time. Not when the direction they are going is toward a Christian Igbo man from Anambra as president of Nigeria. But Musa is also 34. He has paid for his toll every month through an economy that has gotten harder every year for the last 3 years. His charging cables come from a supplier whose prices have gone up 3 times since 2022. His rent has gone up twice, and the APC government that his governor now serves has not fixed those problems. For Musa and millions of northern Nigerians like him, the NDC's Northern Gamble lands not as an abstract political question, but as a personal one. Is there a version of this country in which I am better off? And is the Obi Kwankwaso ticket, with all its platform instability, its 3-party changes in 3 years, its unanswered ticket questions, more likely to produce that version than 4 more years of the APC? That is the calculation that happens in markets, in mosques, in homes across northern Nigeria. Not in party offices, not in Abuja. In Musa's stall, between customers, when he picks up his phone and watches a video for the second time. The international dimension here is specifically about democratic accountability and regional implications. Obi's June 2026 letter warning young Nigerians against religious and identity-based voting, and the Kano Sheikh's viral counter video saying, "I will never vote for a non-Muslim," are both being documented by international religious freedom monitors. The U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom and the State Department's Religious Freedom Reports track exactly this kind of documented electoral religious mobilization in Nigeria. For the diaspora, particularly the large Kano and northern Nigerian diaspora communities in the UK and across West Africa, the Kwankwasiyya story is followed intensely. When Kwankwaso made the NDC move, northern diaspora WhatsApp groups lit up with exactly the debate that Musa is having in Kofa Wambai. Do we follow? Can this work? Is this different? Diaspora financial contributions to the NDC's Kano operation will reflect the outcome of those conversations. Watch whether Kano origin diaspora groups announce support for the NDC as they did for the Obedient Movement's Labour Party campaign in 2023. The most directly international element is the one-term pact that Obi's camp proposed to attract northern support. That proposal, a Christian southerner serving 1 term before handing over to a Muslim northerner for the next cycle, is a form of power-sharing arrangement that international democracy monitors have consistently praised in other African contexts as a model for managing diversity in democratic transitions. Its failure to produce a formal agreement between Obi and Atiku is therefore specifically noted in international assessments of Nigeria's 2027 political environment. Let me give the strongest argument against the NDC's Northern Gamble working before explaining why it is not definitive. The argument is this: the North has never elected a Southern Christian as president in Nigeria's democratic history. Not in 1999, not in 2003, not in 2007, not in 2011, not in 2015, not in 2019, not in 2023. Not once. And the northern political logic for this pattern is not simply bigotry. It is a rational calculation that the North's economic and security interests are better served by having a co-religious, co-regional figure in the presidency who understands northern community structures and can be held accountable through northern traditional authority systems. The APC's version of this argument is that Kwankwaso's 5 platform changes tell northern voters something specific: that he will prioritize his personal advancement over northern political unity, that his willingness to join a ticket led by a southern candidate represents exactly the kind of pragmatic accommodation that northern political culture historically rejects as a betrayal of regional interest. That is the argument. It is not irrational. It is historically grounded. Where it falls short is in 2027's specific context. The North under the APC, in this specific administration, is not experiencing security improvement. Banditry, kidnapping, and food insecurity in the Northwest and Northeast have not been resolved. Economic pain is as severe in the North as anywhere else, and the rational northern voter that the third camp in Daily Post survey represents is the voter who is calculating, has the northern-led or northern-aligned presidency delivered for northern communities? And the honest answer for many northern communities is that it has not. The NDC's bet is that economic frustration is stronger than identity loyalty. The APC's bet is the reverse. Both bets reflect something genuine about northern Nigerian political culture. Which one is dominant in January 2027, we will find out then. Here's what to watch for the NDC's northern gamble between now and January 2026. Watch whether Kwankwaso campaigns personally in Kano's wards before the primary deadline. The number of ward-level events, community meetings, and personal appearances Kwankwaso makes between now and September 2026 is the most direct indicator of whether the Kwankwasiyya movement is being rebuilt for the NDC under the NDC banner. A Kwankwaso who is present in Kano wards is a Kwankwaso who is mobilizing. A Kwankwaso who is mostly in Abuja is a Kwankwaso who is managing the national ticket rather than the Kano base. Watch the NDC's Kano governorship campaign for Gwazo. As we covered in our Kwankwaso Factor video, the NDC governorship campaign gives the Kwankwasiyya a specific local Kano candidate to mobilize around, which drives presidential NDC votes at the same time. Whether Gwazo's campaign is funded, organized, and visible in Kano's LGAs is a proxy measure for the NDC's Kano presidential operation. Watch whether the Atiku NDC coordination discussion produces any formal outcome before October. Without Atiku's Northeast networks, the NDC cannot reach 25% in the 5 Northeast states. With them, the NDC's 25% threshold coverage across the country becomes plausible. Watch for any joint statement, joint appearance, or coordination announcement between Atiku's camp and the NDC. Watch the Kano Sheikh's counter-campaign. The Sheikh's "never vote for a non-Muslim" message is targeting exactly the voter the NDC needs in Kano, the Muslim northern voter who might otherwise follow Kwankwaso's political direction. Whether his campaign produces organized anti-NDC mobilization in Kano mosques or whether moderate Islamic voices push back will shape Musa's market conversations in the second half of 2026. Worst-case scenario for the NDC. Kwankwaso's Kano base fractures between the APC's governor-backed patronage and the NDC's personal loyalty network. The Sheikh's campaign suppresses NDC turnout in Kano wards, Atiku contests separately from the Northeast, and the NDC's presidential vote in northern states is insufficient to clear the 25% threshold in the necessary number of states. Tinubu wins the constitutional threshold without a competitive northern contest. Best-case scenario, Kwankwaso's ward-level Kano mobilization produces NDC presidential votes above 900,000 in Kano specifically. Gwazo's governorship campaign turns out the Kwankwasiyya base, Atiku coordinates with the NDC on a formal pre-election agreement, and the NDC clears 25% in enough northern states to meet the constitutional threshold. In that scenario, the northern gamble pays off, and Nigeria has its first genuinely competitive election since 2015. At the beginning of this video, Musa put down his phone after watching the NDC membership card video a second time. Not because he did not understand, because he was deciding something. Here's what I can tell Musa, and here's what I can tell everyone in the north who is watching this same story from their own market store, their own classroom, their own motorcycle repair shop. Kwankwaso moving to the NDC is not the same as Kwankwaso being able to deliver the north for the NDC. The man is real. His relationships in Kano are real. The red cap is real. But the ticket he's on is being led by a man from Anambra, and no amount of political analysis changes what that fact means in the context of 15 years of northern electoral history. The NDC's northern gamble will be won or lost in one specific place, the ward. Not in Abuja press conferences, not in diaspora WhatsApp groups, not in this video, in the wards where Kwankwasiyya coordinators either mobilize or stay home. In the mosques where the Sheikh's message either lands or is challenged, in the market stores where Musa and his neighbors either decide that this time is different or conclude that the North's interests are better served by another 4 years of waiting. Musa is the decisive voter, not the Kwankwasiyya loyalist who follows anywhere, not the APC patron who follows money. Musa, the 34-year-old who is tired of following and is now calculating whether it is worth it. The NDC's northern gamble depends on whether there are enough Musas who decide in January 2027 that competence is the right criterion. What do you think? Will the North follow the NDC ticket, or is the gamble too big? Drop your analysis in the comments. If this breakdown gave you clarity on what is really going on, do me a favor, share it with one person who needs to understand this. Like the video, subscribe to NaijaNewsWatch, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay sharp.